Happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome back to Attack of the Grey Pile. Today I'm going to be painting a squig in a Halloween fashion, going for that jack-o'-lantern aesthetic. So let's sit on down, grab some candy, something to drink, and let's dive right in. Come on. As you can see, the model's already been primed. I'm using Mr. Surfacer 1000 in brown. This will help create some of those low undertones underneath the orange to help emphasize the shadows rather than using the black that I generally use. The first application of paint I'm putting on is Troll Slayer Orange. I'm putting it on in a very watered down application so that then it will tie in with the brown primer to help emphasize those shadows that I was talking about during the intro. You'll see that it's going to take a few coats to try and get it right, but it'll work out in the end. Just stick with it. Now it's time to dry brush RZA Rust on the model. Here I'm taking some paint and putting it directly onto the dry brush and then dragging it across a napkin to dry the brush. After that, I will then see how it transfers on the back of my glove, and once I get it to the consistency that I would like, that's when I'm going to start dragging it across the model. Now, as it's so early in the painting process, I can dry brush over the entire model and not have to worry about destroying the paint job. And this is usually when I would want to try and do this for this sort of global dry brush. Here I'm using a flat yellow by Vallejo to pick out the eyes. I want to really start setting this in early and allow it to dry so that I can keep applying a little bit more and a little bit more throughout the process if it needs it, so that I can really get that vibrancy that I want in the end result. Now it's time to paint the mouth red. It's best to do this early before I start putting a lot of detail layers on, such as for the teeth or the grenades that he has in his mouth, because those will impede my ability to get the red paint as deep as I want, and I don't want to have that red spill over onto those surfaces. Here I'm applying some brown to the leather straps that run across the body, holding all the explosives to the figure. This will help pick those out against the orange background of the model.
That's good.
Now, as I'm sure you saw earlier, I accidentally got a little bit of brown paint on the orange skin, so right now I'm just touching it back up, making sure that it looks right, and then I'll get back to painting the leather straps for the rest of the model. Time for us to start picking out those dynamite sticks. I'm painting them in classic red so they stand out very nicely against the orange skin tone and the brown straps. as well as the green that I'm going to put down the spine later to try and tie in with the jack-o'-lantern theme. Now that the dynamite's been painted, I need to go back and touch up the leather strap that goes across the bundle of dynamite that's falling apart and sort of flying down the back of the model. I'll be sure to be careful when picking out this strap so that then it looks natural on the model. Time to paint the controller box on his back. I'm going to be mixing sky gray with black to make a darker mid-tone gray, and then I'll start chasing out the edges later with that sky gray so that it appears worn and damaged. For the landmine, I'll be painting the rim in the same mixed gray. However, when it comes to the surface of the landmine, I'll be painting this in a camouflage green, as one would expect if it were to be emplaced in the ground. Now I'm painting the grenades in sky gray. I know it's a little bright, but I want it to try and stand out now so that when I do my global wash later with Agrax Earthshade, it contrasts well against the rest of the model and the teeth that are holding the grenades.
That's good.
Now I'm painting the teeth of the squig. I'll be using Ivory by Vallejo, but I will then dull it down considerably using that global wash I was talking about earlier. I've decided that I'm gonna also use this ivory paint to paint the wicks for the dynamite sticks. This will help give them the appearance that they're not brand new, and at the same time it will look more natural on this model. Time to paint that landmine in that green. Now I want to try and be careful here so as not to get the green on the rim of the landmine or on the leather strap that's running across his belly. I have plans for this later that I hope will help tie the model in with the scene that I'm trying to depict. There I am reapplying that orange I was talking about. It wasn't as opaque as I wanted on the knee, so I added just a bit more. Once that's done, I'm going to start chasing down the warts on the model by his face and tail. Once those have been painted in green, I'm going to start painting the peaks of the spikes that run down his back with that same green. Once that's set in, I will then start glazing a watered down coating of that same green to help blend the bright green of the peak in with the body tone of the orange, so it's a gradual transition between the two colors. Now it's time for the highlight tone in the skin. I'm going to start picking out some of the raised edges, primarily along the jaw, and then along that stretched section of skin behind his leg. I just want to try and add a little bit more detail to those before I put the global wash, which will help emphasize that more while making it look natural to the surface. I'm reapplying the yellow to his eyes as I really want to try and emphasize the brightness in his eyes. I want to replicate the look of a tea light candle inside a jack-o'-lantern. I really want to make it look like they're glowing.
That's good.
Now it's time for me to lay down the global wash. I'll be applying it to the skin of the model as well as the dynamite so that then it creates some of that contrast that I'd like, as well as on the teeth. While that's drying, I will begin to start painting the cable that goes from the control box down to the landmine, some details on the landmine, and pick out the brightest highlights that I want on the spine. Now that the model is complete, I can move on to creating the scenery of the base. First, I'm going to lay down a grass tuft and make sure that I get all of the loose fibers out of the grass tuft so I don't have to worry about them laying into the paint later. Once the grass tuft is secured to the base, I can then start to put down the texture paint that I want to use. Here I'm painting the leather strap that goes around the landmine, holding it to the belly of the squig. Once I've painted that in brown, I will then start adding some streaks of the texture paint to the surface of the landmine and the strap, so as to emphasize that the squig is not very tall and is dragging it across the surface. This will help tie it in to the overall scene. Now to paint the rim of the base. First, I'll prepare the surface by dragging my craft knife along the rim so as to break off any of the granules and grit from the textured paint so that I have a level surface to paint. Once that's done, I will then apply my dark German camo green to the rim to complete the painting process. And there it is, everybody, our Halloween themed squig. Thank you for joining me on this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, and again, have a happy Halloween.